Peace and blessings, family. Sister Ajali, I feel phenomenal right now. I just got to put that in there. I highly recommend exercising and eating properly, healthily. Your body will let you know, but if you're not acquainted with that feeling of just health and vitality, oh, are you in for a treat? I was thinking about the elderly that they applaud for becoming centenarians over 100 years old. And they always put that out there that, but he drank a shot of whiskey every day. And I'm saying to myself, these people were raised in a time when all food was organic. It didn't need a label. They didn't use the saturation of pesticides and additives and preservatives and fillers and bulkers and thickeners that are just completely artificial that they use today. And so those folks are no comparison to what we're facing right now. Most of us are having 7 shots of whiskey and, injecting a vial of heroin, and that's just for breakfast. So anyway, let's get to this because this is really important. And if you happen to know someone who's in the military, I recommend sharing this with them so that they can be aware of the hazard and do something about it, such as I put the remedies in my book, Furnace of Affliction. You could go to 25,000 a year cycle and purchase it right there at a vast discounted rate from the price that you will get from Amazon. But you could read the reviews at Amazon. Now, that said, I don't want to get all into the, joining the Army, but it is unfortunate that the U.S. military treats its enlisted who volunteer as just guinea pigs. And that is the history, that's the documentation, that's a fact. And they're still doing it. This is an article that was shared with me by Dr. G. And I thank him for that because all of our people, we keep each other on point and up to date. So it is U.S. military bulk buys Japanese seafood to counter China ban. This is so full of weird. It makes, Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse look like it's just, the regular stereotype of the white American next door neighbor, the guy next door, whatever, all that crap. That is not true. But at the same time, this is where their weirdness really counts in killing folks, because they're doing this counter purchase of Japanese seafood reportedly in order to assist Japan in surviving the economic wars that are being waged on it by China. This reminds me of what's going on in the Middle East right now, where with Dr. G, I'm going to put it at the end of the video so you can watch it. War and rumors of war. Actually, I'm going to put his version because he edited so that it cut off a whole 12 minutes, and that's helpful. But where it's what they don't tell you that proves the propagandistic intention of what they put in the media, because China ain't economically at war with Japan. I want you to see, I don't know how I'm going to roll this out, but at the same time it is. These are products generating best trade surpluses for Japan. This is from 2022. Ain't no food up in here. Ain't no food. And these things are like hundreds of billions of dollars worth of products, probably finished goods, manufactured by Japan and sent other places. Oh, they are so precision. motivated and entrepreneurial, as Dr. G said, in getting stuff done. These people are anal retentive to a hilt, and you know where that hilt is. There ain't no food up in here, okay? And when I looked at this graph right here, which shows exports from Japan to all the nations, and this is before Fukushima, this is 2009. And you see right here, China was their biggest export destination. This little yellow line right here, this is before Fukushima. That was how much food they were shipping. This is 2022. They're still shipping a little bit of food. Oh, there it is right there. It's 545.26 million in 2022. Look at what they're still shipping on over there. This is $30.94 billion worth of machinery, nuclear reactors. Of all ironic things, they don't want the result of the reactors as far as the seafood goes, but they want them reactors, right? So what's the process? What's the mindset going on there? Because Japan's economy in 2023 has been getting stronger and stronger. A whole 6% rate growth in their GDP. That is astounding. And it certainly isn't just owing to the U.S. military buying their very minimal food shipment. Japan is not the breadbasket to anybody. It's just way too tiny for that sort of stuff. And so for them to be doing really well, this is about liquidity versus non-liquidity. That means the banks are greasing the wheels once again on purpose. What Japan do that? They're like, hey, good job. With China banning over the tritium water, these countries are so full of crap. It is no joke. They only comment that they've ghettoized YouTube so much that they don't worry about that, because I would complain heavily before on my old channel that they were removing my comments right on the shares that I put together. If I was convincing people who were reluctant, thought that being pro-black was some sort of cuss word, and so they were removing my responses to them, misrepresenting who I am as a person. They're still doing that. They're misrepresenting all of pro-black us. But for the first time, they removed a comment. It was to Brother Nias. And I love Brother Nias because he just relentlessly is pro-black. He loves us. And he does so despite the fact that the black man is the one they are going to shadow ban the most. So he was talking about China. And I'm not going to say what I said specifically. But first, let me preface anything I say by I wish absolutely nobody any harm. Nobody, not even swirlers. I hope they can wake up. But even if they don't wake up, they have a right to extinct themselves from living altogether. That's their right. It's just that I want to be a cheerleader for beautiful black us, because I know that we're waking up and we're like, look, if it ain't black, then you just got to throw it back, okay? That doesn't mean harm it. Just throw it back, because it's just not as satisfying. When I wake up in the morning, I hear, because I live with two black men, our son and Dr. G, I wake up and I hear the warm, just voices that sound so familiar, because that's what I grew up with, okay? Ain't no substitute for that. Ain't nothing that could, live up to the might of that melanated presence, okay? And so I don't wish anybody any harm overall, all right? But with China, and I don't mean that but as in I wish them harm. I wish them to leave us the heck alone. China is really successful at controlling folks. I'm not going to say how they control folks, but you've heard of the credit system, I'm sure. And so for the satanic elites, the Asian countries are the winners, and especially China. Now, does that mean that they get to ban the radioactive food? This is, I forgot what they call them, the ones who used to wear these white suits. But they're testing for COVID on a crab right here. And here it looks like a whiting fish. I don't know. I don't eat fish for multiple reasons. But they're testing right here with the, cotton swab, as they were doing with all the citizens. And fish, seafood, they don't get respiratory infections because they don't have lungs. They don't have noses. They are not overcome with the diseases that we are, though the result of radiological contamination can be awful. Now, I originally misinterpreted this as they want to have the radiation consumed by their populace, but I don't think the Chinese, any more than white people, want to die. I think it's more a determination of the satanic elite who they want to choose to go out. And the Chinese have been so successful that they're maintaining their ban on Japanese fish. That's not enough as the radiation is coming down on a rain. You cannot segregate it to the Pacific Ocean alone. Fukushima's been found everywhere. And then there's all kinds of nuclear reactors. As I said, they're important nuclear reactor parts from Japan. This might be for the general population to believe that, they're fighting on our behalf. It's, I can't say whether it's totalitarian or not, right? Because I think they control a lot more than we're allowed to say anymore up on here. But they may have been given a go-ahead to just say no. And I'll be surprised because there's headlines saying, we got to get the Asian countries to stop having these bans against Japan. I'll be surprised if those bans actually are forced to be removed. This is a contest, a gladiator sport, but it's between nations. And let's emphasize, I ain't joking. I think Fukushima Diary is a Japanese gentleman who lives in, I do believe he relocated to Switzerland as soon as Fukushima popped off. And he just keeps on going. I'm so grateful to him. But here you see 180 times much as radioactive cesium detected in fish from Fukushima nuclear plant port. This is breaking. This is brand new. Not something they caught 11 years ago, and it doesn't matter because most radioactive isotopes will have short half-lives, but the ones like cesium that have far longer half-lives, and there's all kinds of different types of cesium, right? 11 years ain't gonna cut it. Or what is it, 12? 12 years. It's been 12 years, okay? And so this is an article from June 2023, where they found 180 times. And I thought it was only supposed to be tritium up in that water. And tritium is far more complicated because there's different kinds of tritium. When they talk about, tritium occurs naturally, no, they're talking about another isotope of tritium that is nowhere near as disastrous as was in those tanks. And I think they just been venting the tanks for forever. But this is the stuff that they could just ship it right on over to us because the FDA has removed any alerts from any food coming out of Japan whatsoever. That does not mean it doesn't have the radiation. That means they won't warn you about it. So for them, the U.S. military, to pretend that they're trying to counter this economic war from China when Japan ain't going to hurt anymore from not being able to sell their seafood. It screams the unentitled snakes of America. All them white folks out there who like to congratulate themselves. Oh, we are just the best. I know you guys are having a rough time right now because without the United States as your, champion, you don't know what to do with yourself. Open up them good books and read and bow down, but read them for real. Go to different black, I don't know, there's only so many, but, the Hebrew Israelites, so that you could get a real understanding of what's in that Bible, because I don't know what book you dudes be reading, right? I'm not saying that the Bible is, right and exact and you could trust every single thing. That's why, for me, I love the Quran in that regard. But other than that, you got to also go to the book of existence. And you dudes really love to ignore the reality of black us because it scares the freaking pants off of you when it should make you exalt in righteousness, and these being the last days, and righteousness is finally coming to the floor so that your sons and daughters who are in the military, because it's all volunteer, are not being killed by your own people, right? And so this is just their way of correcting what Freud said has been a huge mistake, the unentitled snakes of America. And specifically, they're going to target black you and me. That's what they do. With the sea moss, with the white rice from Japan that nobody's buying. The sales have plummeted, but it's not going to crash Japan because they got other exports that are far more valuable to them. You shouldn't be buying them suckers either because they could be contaminated. But I'm just saying, they're shipping it to black nations for free. How do you ship the rice for free, but not being able to pass on your 180 times the allowed level of radiation, which means that it's even worse for real organic living entities because Japan raised its allowable level in order to hide the signature of the radiation a little bit more. What happens is your body's still the same body. It's going to respond catastrophically to just one atom of radiation. This is a real article. You could look it up. It might come up a little bit differently because they are putting the information out there as if it didn't come directly from the nuclear industry itself. I would say this is because anti-nukers, myself definitely included, have been putting the fire to the nuclear industry because this is at middle right here. Risk of cancer, death after exposure to low-dose ionizing radiation underestimated, suggests nuclear industry study. This at middle right here, this is something they've known for decades and decades and decades. There's no safe dose. And so there's nothing in that article, are we going to save Japan's economy from China and its wars, economic wars, by buying a massive quantity, some U.S. military, and they're going to buy a massive quantity of fish? No. It's like, I once considered joining the military. I would never do that now. Now with all the knowledge that I have, I would never commit to harming anyone on behalf of the devil himself. No, I wouldn't. But my dad was in the military. He served during the Korean War. I've always, like a lot of people, disciplined. I get respect for that. And the knowledge that a lot of military men garner I'm like, woo, I wish I knew a couple of you, like, really, so, because stuff is, like, popping off, and I'm trying to do my best to learn. I thank you, those of you who wrote books, and so that we, just laity out here could learn some skills, right? So I have respect for the military, even though I know you're fighting, you're working with Satan, and they've been trying in all their different ways to poison you. I can't speak specifically on that pokey thing, right? Okay, a lot of you were so wonderfully upset. Kudos to you. I'm letting you know it's not the jab. The bioluminescent ocean, that's only on the Pacific. This ain't the jab. And then all the dead creatures by the billions. That wasn't the jab. Okay? So, what's the real underlying murder weapon? The one that comes with cures. This is my just archive of different pictures. This one here is the Fukushima t-shirt that was designed by brother Chris Miller of Mad Black TV. And yeah, I'm not joking. I do what I do because it's necessary. But originally I had this whole section titled, Fukushima ads. I would just do one and the next one, and there's going to be a lot of little photos. But I'm not joking about this. I didn't do this because I'm trying to become a multi-billionaire. I kept running across, and this is the one where all the other Asian nations are refusing Fukushima food, but they just allowed it in for us. I kept running across remedies and cures, and I realized that it took me 10 years to accumulate enough knowledge that I felt, okay, now I know what I need to know to share with the family in one place, because people would come to me individually and I would have to literally almost type out a book for them. And I said, this is not good. And so I put it in here. And my goal is to get enough to test our food so we don't have to be a hamster. You don't have to be a guinea pig. Well, when I started out, I was calling these, furnace ads. And then I realized that, nope, that's not what these are. Roundabout here, I started calling them furnace rescue. Furnace rescue. There's no other product that I have. I'll call it a promo. But this book, this is your rescue. I am not joking. Do not take me lightly. These people plan on taking you out, with you being completely clueless and blaming the wrong thing. Because for them, they don't need you anymore. The elites are perfectly happy to have robot drone killer dogs with no conscience whatsoever. They're perfectly willing to let that be, in their minds, a better substitute for you. And the other bad guy roll on in where they're protected. They ain't getting none of what you're going to be getting. And it doesn't matter to them because everybody's a cow to them, okay? All right. Whew, you will find this at 25. It says on Amazon here, as I say, you can read the reviews, but go to 25000yearcycle.org where you will get your healing done. Right? You got that list of what you need to do today. Get that healing done. Without that, there ain't no you and there ain't no me. I surely love you. Straight, black, family, pride is our map to forever. Peace and blessings.